Do you ask a lot of questions about the world? Maybe you want to know why the world is round, or why do tigers have stripes, or why rose bushes have thorns. I wonder, how do you find out the answers to your questions? Hello everyone, I'm Kathleen Pelly. Welcome to Journey with Story. Today's episode is a type of story called a pourquoi story. Pourquoi is a French word meaning why. Long ago, before people had computers or libraries or even books, they made up stories to explain why certain things in the world were the way they were. And so these stories became known as pourquoi stories. Our episode today explains why armadillos are funny. Now, if you don't know what an armadillo looks like, you might want to see if your mummy or daddy can show you a picture of one, as it will help you enjoy the story more. Oh, how would you like some colouring sheets to go along with some of our favourite fairy tale episodes from this podcast? Can you go and get your mummy or daddy or grown-up, ask them to take a listen, and let's see how to do that? Hello, grown-ups. If you'd like some colouring sheets of our 5 favourite fairy tale episodes, then you can just go to www.journeywithstory.com and click there, and you'll have 5 favourite fairy tale colouring sheets. You can do it right now. Just hit pause, and I'll be right here when you come back. Okay, did some of you do that? Great. And if you did, you'll see there's one blank page there in those colouring sheets, and that is for you to draw your favourite part of whatever episode you're listening to. It could be this one or another one. Let's take a journey with why armadillos are funny. A long, long time ago, armadillos were not the same shy, nocturnal creatures we know today. No, they were most definitely not. Back then, armadillos were extremely proud of themselves and believed that the sun rose and set on their funny little faces. Back then, they were also very friendly creatures with no enemies at all in the animal kingdom. Raccoons were their friends, so were hawks and eagles, and even coyotes and bears and dogs liked the armadillos. As for cats, well, that was a different matter. But we all know that is because cats are cats, and they don't really care one way or another about any other creature other than themselves. But all the other animals enjoyed armadillos' company. Now, one very plain and very ordinary little armadillo who lived back then was called Apollo. His mother was ugly, his daddy was ugly, and Apollo was even uglier than the both of them put together. But the truth is, armadillos are meant to be ugly. That is the way they were born to be. The uglier the better. So Apollo was just about perfect for an armadillo. Apollo Armadillo discovered just when he was a wee little tot that he had a knack for being particularly funny. When he bugged out his eyes and waggled his tongue, the other animals split their sides laughing at him. The owls hooted, the iguanas giggled, and even the rattlesnakes sniggered with a sss. One day Apollo discovered a new trick to amuse his friends. He hid in a ditch and waited for an animal to come walking down the road. The first one to come speeding along was Roadrunner. Beep, beep. Just as Roadrunner reached Apollo's hiding place, the little armadillo dashed out into the road and shot straight up into the air with his arms and legs splayed all out in 4 directions, hair standing on end, shell wobbling, eyes bugged out, and tongue a wiggle waggling. "Wah!" bellowed Apollo. The Roadrunner screeched to a halt. "Ah!" he yelled. Then, kerplunk, he plopped over backwards. There he lay in a cross-eyed, dizzy daze right in the middle of the road. After a few minutes, he picked himself up, saw how silly Apollo looked, and began to laugh and laugh and laugh. The other animals who were peeking out from the bushes joined in. Everyone hee-hawed and guffawed with laughter until their sides were fit to split. Armadillo was mighty pleased and proud with himself. His parents were proud too. They even encouraged him more. His daddy said, "Son, in my opinion, you could use a little more tomfoolery. Here, try these on." And he handed his son some funny eyeglasses with a big red nose and a hairy moustache attached. Now, when Apollo played that same jump-up trick, he looked even funnier and more ridiculous than before. Now he was able to stop any creature, no matter his size or might, and make them laugh out loud. Down the road came a bouncing bunny. Boing, boing, boing. "Wah!" yelled Apollo. "Ah!" yelled the bunny. Then, thunk, the bunny keeled over on his back. Down the road came a turkey. Trot, trot, gobble, gobble. "Wah!" yelled Apollo. "Ah!" yelled Turkey. Then, thunk, he too plopped over on his back. Down the road came Buffalo. "Galumph, galumph, galumph." "Wah!" yelled Apollo. "Ah!" yelled the buffalo as he tumbled over and over onto the ground. Every single time this happened, the dazed animal would pull itself together, take one look at that clownish Apollo, and start to laugh. Softly at first, but then louder and louder, until he was doubled over with great big belly laughs. No doubt about it, that armadillo was a real clown. But Apollo's mother believed that good can always be better. "Try these on for size," she said, as she handed her son a huge floppy hat and a spotted necktie. "Oh, yes, see how funny you look now." Off Apollo went to wait by the roadside. Along came a big fat possum. "Hunka-cha, hunka-cha, hunka-cha." Up jumped Apollo. "Wah! Arr!" cried Possum, then splat to the ground he fell. Meanwhile, up in the sky world, Lightning, who was mean enough to scare night into day, was growing angry. She was supposed to be the only one powerful enough to stop any creature in its tracks and make it keel over in shock. This ridiculous-looking armadillo named Apollo was stealing her thunder, and she was jealous. "Thinks he's funny, does he? Well, I am going to show that miserable little mammal a thing or two about what's funny." The next time Apollo went down to hide beside the road and tickle his wits out of some poor passer-by, Lightning followed him. She darted behind clouds, keeping herself hidden from view. Apollo squatted in a ditch, chuckling to himself and eager to punch on the next friendly victim. Suddenly, Lightning leapt out from behind a cloud, grabbed a bolt from her quiver, and struck Apollo on top of his ugly little noggin. "Ah!" yelled Apollo. His eyes began to spin like tops. He stood on his nose. Then he danced on his tail. His plates of armour clacked up and down like a set of false teeth chattering. He rolled up into a tight ball. Thunk went he, then plop he fell down in a faint. Lightning could not keep her face straight. "Ha ha! He got a charge out of that!" She went back to the clouds, grinning all over. Some time later, Apollo woke up, looked around, and could not see a thing. "Help! Where am I? Why is it so dark?" Then he realized he was curled up inside his own armoured shell. He stretched and pushed, but no matter how hard he tried, he could not release himself. Fright had locked him up tight. He tried shifting his weight back and forth, until he began to roll. On and on he rolled down a steep hill, hurtling so fast he could not stop until he smashed into a great oak tree. Bunk! Crack! Apollo's shell split into 9 places. To this very day, you can still see those cracks on the armadillo's back. Out popped Apollo's nose, then his feet, and then clunk, clunk, clunkety clunk. Thousands of acorns rained down on his head. Poor little armadillo. At first he was so embarrassed, but then he leapt to his hind legs, smiled at the crowd gathered around him, and bowed. "Thank you, my friends, thank you. I hope you enjoyed my little trick." At this, all the animals began to cheer and clap. Even Lightning could not stop from laughing. Soon she was doubled over laughing. And then it dawned on her. Apollo was taking all the credit for her joke. This would not do. She reached into her quiver and fired another fierce bolt straight at him. But all that laughing threw her aim off. The bolt hit the ground, sparks flew, the grass sizzled, and the dirt cracked open. And what crawled out of the ground but earthworms? Yum, yum, time for dinner! Apollo grabbed a handful of those wiggly, wriggly worms and slurped them up, chewing with his mouth wide open, worms dribbling down his chin and his eyes popping out with delight. All the animals burst into peals of laughter. "Look at him! He's disgusting! He's so funny!" And then, thunk, they all fell back over laughing. Lightning knew Apollo had won their little game of wits. She could not get the best of him. So she went back to her sky world and never bothered the armadillos on Earth again. And that is how Apollo, a funny little armadillo, taught all the other animals something very important. Sometimes the best protection from an enemy is to make them laugh. So don't forget, you can download those very popular 5 favourite fairy tales colouring sheets at www.journeywithsori.com. And when you sign up to my email list, you'll get all kinds of updates about this podcast, upcoming books, and other bits and bobs around the wonderful world of stories. Cheerio then. Join me next time for Journey with Story.